I have a few $100,000 inside of a simple IRA, my wife and I each. And one of the things that this past week I emailed the advisor that we use for this retirement. This is one of our retirement accounts. And I emailed them and I said, hey, can you send me what you have, the splits of how you have the simple IRA set up, right? And so he emails me back. It takes a little bit of time, of course. And he's like, 85% are in these couple different ETFs. And then 13%, around 13 to 15% is in treasuries. Okay, so I started to think about treasuries and bonds and stuff. And I started to think through, and I'm going, okay, like, if I think through treasuries, right? And I look at this, I say treasuries, and eventually, go thinking future forward, because I'm trying to think about what I want to do with this money. If I want to just let it and keep going through, I said I emailed the guy back and I said, look, this 13%, instead of putting it into treasuries, can we put it into crypto? And he emailed me back and he was like, hey, at this time, we don't have the capability, and the company that I work for and then the company that we invest in, we have no products that you can get Ethereum or even Bitcoin, okay, right now. And so I emailed him back, okay, what do you think we could end up doing with this as far as increasing this? Because I don't want to have treasuries. I want to put some of this into some other assets, right? And my wife and I are currently about to purchase a $1 million+ property. And I'm starting to think through like tokenization and stuff like that, and where we're going right now with the current, where we're going with the current real world assets. And I have some friends in real estate that are already talking about how tokenization and building on Ethereum, and eventually getting to the point where there might be a future in the next 5 to 10 years that you're able to purchase real estate through a token that would be built on Ethereum. So I'm thinking through this as far as my simple IRA. And when he tells me all these things, right, and I'm thinking through this process of where I want to be and where I want my family to be financially, and this is not financial advice, so please like, subscribe, but also recognize this is just an educational thing for me. It's an educational experiment, right? Well, not experiment, but my life is. And I'm going, all right, well, in this case, if we're looking at a product or an asset, let's say an asset like Ethereum, okay? And we recognize that Ethereum is where we're going to start to see things like agentic AI is going to be trading on the blockchain. We know, okay, that all of these blockchains, or all of these big assets that we have in all of the AI space, so even robots eventually are going to start getting or listening to our conversations and seeing our habits and purchasing things for us on the blockchain, which has also been approved by the current administration in Washington. So compliance is also going to be a major factor as I'm thinking through these investments moving forward. And so I started to think about compliance, and then I'm thinking about my research and who I'm listening to and what I'm reading online. And I'm going, man, if I'm looking at this and I'm looking at Ethereum, okay, and I'm looking at Bitcoin, and I'm really thinking through my own retirement, and I'm going, okay, I own some Ethereum. And then I started to think about MicroStrategy. Okay, so this is where this all leads to. MicroStrategy, when it started in 2012, MicroStrategy, when it started becoming a Bitcoin treasury, had about $1 of Bitcoin, or a little more than $1 of Bitcoin per share. And MicroStrategy was like, $11, $12 when it started becoming a Bitcoin treasury. This is in 2020. And now it has over $200+ of Bitcoin per share. And on top of that, MicroStrategy has gone up 400 to $400+ right? So it's really done a good job of getting someone a return on asset. Now, how does this link back to this story? And what can you do with this? Okay. I started to think through Ethereum. Okay. And I'm going, all right, if my simple IRA doesn't even have access to a direct investment in Ethereum, they're not even in it. And we're looking at financials, and we're looking at the financial space, which is 50% of the economy. Okay, it goes back to financials. JP Morgan, Charles Schwab, all those areas. And they're still not in most of these, like it's like 90% of these companies have no access outside of like BlackRock, MicroStrategy. These other companies have no current access or products that are using any type of crypto, okay? And they don't even offer ETFs. A lot of them don't even offer ETFs. And my guy had come back to me and he's like, okay, so you could actually go to this website, invest in these ETFs with this IRA, and you could have, this long-term play come back to you and be beneficial. Now, what am I going to do with all this? Because I started to think through, if we're going and we're looking at Ethereum and Bitcoin are the most popular aspects of crypto. And then we start to look at Ethereum and we go, okay, Ethereum's inflation rate, technically there's less of it available than Bitcoin currently, in the sense that it's growing at a slower rate than Bitcoin. And then we start to think about the staking aspect, okay? The fact that you can be a financial company like a Charles Schwab, like a potentially a Vanguard or somebody like this, and you could purchase enough Ethereum, and the staking aspect of Ethereum could in turn make them money. And then they can start to create also their own stablecoin, which is what they're doing currently, okay? And then they can build on and create their own stablecoins, which they can then use for transfer of money. And I started to think through this, and I'm like, if all of these companies are going to be built on Ethereum, and they're going to be using financially, they're going to be using Ethereum to develop all their stuff, and it's 50% of the market. And if we think through this, and I'm going, okay, so what should I do? Should I buy some of these ETFs, or should I just buy, off of Coinbase, or, that's what I use is Coinbase. Should I just buy Ethereum off of Coinbase? And I'm going, if I can purchase Ethereum now as a play, and then I start to look at how the stablecoin market is going to be built, most of it's like 75% of the stablecoins are going to be built on Ethereum, because the financial industry doesn't care about speed as much as they care about compliance, and as much as they care about the fact that they could build something and get that staking return from Ethereum. I'm going to start to invest more in Ethereum. And the reason is because it goes back to, that's where we're going with these robots. That's where the agentic AI, got to get a better angle here. That's where the agentic AI is going to be transferring and using, they're going to be using Ethereum to build, to transfer their money. And if we know that a lot of these companies that have simple IRAs can't even offer you a product on it. And then I hear Tom Lee say that the financial space, Charles Schwab, all these companies that are already starting to build their stablecoins on Ethereum are going to start to trade at rates similar to what we're seeing with technology. I immediately start to think through this, and I'm like, I'm not even going to waste my time with this simple IRA, because it doesn't actually make sense. Like, we can still put money into it because it is stable and it is consistently growing, and we got a lot of money in it, and it's just like sort of in the back of my mind. But in all reality, I'm going to start putting more money into Ethereum, because the practicality, it's already approved by the Genius Act from the Trump administration, from old Trumpsky. It's already designated and selected, and a lot of people are already building stablecoins on top of it. And it's going to be where everything rolls in the future. And so what's ending up happening is the current financial system Wall Street is going to be built mainly on the back of Ethereum. And when you hear things like in 4 years, this price is going to be at $50,000, $60,000, and you're looking at it right now at, like, let's just say it's at 5K, you're going to 10x that in 4 or 5 years, and there's already Ethereum treasuries being formed, and you know that this is a compliant factor. It makes the decision a lot easier. So that initial discussion is that every single month I put in a decent amount of money into that simple IRA, which we're going to continue to do. But at the same time, I'm going, let's remove about 20 to 25% of what we put into that simple IRA and start to use that a little bit more effectively in our other space with Ethereum and with other areas that are going to be building on the back of Ethereum. And I believe in a long-term play, it's going to be way more beneficial to make that type of investment. And so it goes back to, even when I talked to the advisor on the phone, then it's like, look, like, I don't know why I would continue to do this, because essentially I'm wasting money by putting 13% of that into these treasuries when I could be putting that actually into the backbone of where the financial industry is going. And that's going to Ethereum. It's going to building their stable coins on Ethereum. And that's where a lot of the AI and the agentic AI and the tokenization space is going to be headed. So I just wanted to think through this out loud and share this with you guys. I don't know if there's any value to that, but I hope you guys like this. I hope you like that process. And that's really where I see the crazy part with crypto, the crypto space. Comment down below if you want me to clarify this a little bit further, but I had to talk to somebody, so I decided it was time to talk to my phone. I'll see you guys on the other side. Peace.